Let me see what we're doing. We're still waiting for like 9 people. Okay. I gotta get my candle going, so I might as well do that while we're waiting. So I hope you listened to the last recording. Where's that? Okay. Light this baby up. So welcome. I'm going to get started. I'm sure we'll have some more people logging on that are part of the class. And I hope you did listen to the last video. It's good to do a refresh. I also listened to it before class because half of the time I don't even remember what I covered. So it is good to refresh. Now, some of you were on the in bulk ceremony last night. And in the Wicca class, I will be posting the ceremony. Traditionally, we do not share full moons or the ceremonies to anyone, but because you're in the Wicca class and this is super important, I will post it for you. So don't share it to the public. Okay, and every in bulk, the magic is different as well, so it's pretty awesome. So let's cast our circle of protection before we begin. Protect ourselves from negative energy. So when I cast a circle of intention, my intention is to also protect you and your place. And of course, you want to practice visualizing casting the circle around your place. And focus on the outside right now, okay? And going around your whole place. In this place, the circles round, we consecrate the sacred ground. With golden light, the space around, all power here contained and bound. From the north, the things that manifest. From the east, the things of mind. From the south, the things that motivate. And west, the souls refined. And yet no place or time there be between the worlds, our words and we. Ancient ones come and see, our space is sealed, so mote it be. So welcome to this class. I'm really excited about February. February is one of my favorite classes because of all of the energy that we get to experience. This is the beginning of our manifestation cycle. I'm just going to put the chat room up so I can see it. Awesome. And Jess, I'm going to get you to kind of watch the chat room for me and just go like this if someone, or if you want, you can answer some questions for me or with me as well. So last class we got into the pentagram and the sacredness of it. I want to do a little bit of a refresh with it, just so that we can get in touch with that. And then I want to move on to, let me see, where am I? Just so you know, this is how thick the binder is that we're covering in this class. So you're going to be full of knowledge. So before we go on, let's talk about a little bit of the elemental pentacle that we covered last class as a refresh. So when we are using the pentacle, I want you to look at it as if the circle around you is the energy of the god and the goddess protecting you. And that's actually what the circle does represent. That wall that we're calling in has to do with the divine and our connection to it. So the circle is usually cast with a wand or with a sword. And those things that we use change the energy of the circle within. The energy in the circle is different than the energy outside of the circle. When we use the earth element in the pentagram, we want to visualize ourselves standing in a circle, okay? But you got to almost imagine it laying down or the circle around you. Our lower left corner or our lower left hand represents the stability and our physical energy, and that's the earth energy. The fire is our lower right hand. And that makes sense because when we direct our energies, we use our left hand. Receiving is no, sorry, I'm backwards. Receiving is our left hand, directing is our right hand. So no, I wasn't backwards. But our right hand represents our courage and what we are focused on doing, okay? The water is the right, upper right hand of the corner. So we have the lower left hand, the lower right hand. So the two points that are facing down, if they were turned upside down, let me show you. It would be like the horns. So let me just do this. Where is one I could show you? Here we go. Because it can be a little confusing. Okay, so when I'm talking about the lower left and the lower right, I'm talking about these, okay? The upper left and the upper right are these. And so we will use our hands parallel or down. So sometimes when we're doing magic, you'll see that we hold our hands like this. Hold our hands like this, and sometimes we're holding them down. That's the left up and the left down, okay, or the right up and the right down. So the lower left, when we hold our hands down, represents our stability and our physical energy. When we hold our left up, it's air, and that also represents intelligence and the divine arts. If we're using our upper left or our upper right, that represents our emotions and intuition. So where we place our hands within that circle invokes certain energies for us, okay? And spirit is always here. It's always the top point. It'll never change. And that spirit energy represents us connected to the divine. It's our higher self, our cone of power, okay? So the circle around the star represents the god and the goddess, and it actually refracts and reflects light. And that's why we do cast the circle, is because it creates this light and it brings us to our intelligence and our wisdom and our protection. Moving on. So we just went through Imbolc, and some of you were at the ceremony. So I want to just cover that a little bit and what we're heading into. So Imbolc was the festival of the bride. And we all know that February is about love and Valentine's Day and connection and spring and creation. So it is the first stirrings of our creation and what we are manifesting in our life. So it's really important for us to think about the things that we want and then exclude the things that we don't want. I'm just going to mute everyone here so I don't get too much choppiness. Okay, perfect. That's better. Let me know if I'm cutting in or out. So up until now, our shadow creatures come out. And what I mean by that is, as we start our manifestation cycle that we're starting now and we're manifesting, we get to the fall harvest. That's where we receive everything we've called in. And sometimes we don't receive the things that we've been working on. It may take a little more work. But from the fall harvest up until now, all of our shadow creatures come out. And in that includes all of the bullshit and all of the darkness and all of the things that we've collected that we are not. So wintertime is a time of purification and readjustment. And that's why we really get to know about ourselves and what's inside of us, because it starts to come out and it's clearing itself for this next cycle that we're now walking. And in that time, people will, they'll go through some changes, and a lot of people will go into a depressed state or in a survival place. And that's something that when we're practicing magic, we don't get too affected by that, because we understand that that shadow self does come through, and we honor that and we work with that until the spring. So whatever we start to manifest in this month has to do with that darkness and the co-creation. Okay, sorry, I gotta mute that. Go. Tina, I think yours, if you could mute yours, it's cutting me in and out. It sounds super like loud here, in and out. Okay, thank you. So when we experience this month, it has to do with what comprehension the darkness has received from us. Before creation, there's comprehension. So now we're coming into form with how the universe supports us and how it's connected to us. So it's really important to have a strong connection to the universe and to the things that you want. And this is the month where we really have to train ourselves from getting stressed out, from getting worried, because we're now shedding off those things that may have arisen while we were going through that old security mode, right? So I want to share something with you a little bit about magic here, and just listen to this, okay? Because this month I want to get you in touch with who you are and what you want, and then we're going to start practicing some spell work. And the whole basis of the craft of the wise is being able to manifest and do the spell work that you need to create the things that you want, okay? And it's always important to go for more than what you want, like take it to the top. So just listen to this story and see how it connects to you, okay? So the moon glows mystically in the star-scattered sky as a lone figure moves down the deserted beach. It stops, it bends, and grasps a stick, washed up by the shore by the restless sea. Pushing its blunt end into the wet sand, the figure sketches a symbol. A wave crashes, the figure moves back, and just as the oncoming water sweeps over the symbol, a gust of wind rises, blowing back the tightly wrapped scarf. A woman's face appears in the soft moonlight. She smiles, confident that the spell has worked, and sits to listen to the crashing music of the sea. Why did the woman go to the ocean that night? Why did she draw a symbol in the sand? How did this simple act constitute magic? Natural magic, rather, the magic of nature, is an uncomplicated, direct branch of the magical arts once derived from eons of experimentation by people scattered all over the world. It is a response to the limitless powers of nature, the power visible in an ever-changing season, the blossoming of a bud, the birth of the young. The ways of nature magic are almost universally intended to work with the forces and energies of nature to bring about necessary changes. Though the techniques may seem to be oversimplified, they're effective. The woman described above performed an act of nature magic. She worked with the ocean, a timeless source of energy worshipped for hundreds of thousands of years. To direct the energies of the sea, she used a symbol. Symbolism is the language of the mind and the subconscious mind. Though the symbols and runes have powers in themselves, they also direct energies to specific ends. In other words, they tell the magic what to do. So this woman went to the ocean on a moonlit night to tap into the ocean energies and drew a symbol on the sand to focus her powers. When the wave crashed the symbol away, it released its own powers and the magic begun. Though it may take several days for the fruits of the night's work to appear, they will manifest. Time and experience have proven this. Natural magic is direct and to the point. Despite who you may have heard or what you may have heard, magic is nothing supernatural or unnatural. It is our own backyards, our homes, in the very essence of our beings. The forces of nature empower magic. While it may seem that our class may fall outside of nature mirrors, for instance, it is simply an indication that nature is more than the good solid earth beneath our feet, or the arcing rainbow dazzling in an afternoon sky. Nature is the universe itself, not only its power, but its manifestations. Some of these manifestations, such as mirrors, are artificially produced, but they are linked and tapped into the powers of nature by their symbolism. If you put into practice any of the magic within this course, whether you're drawing a heart in the sand, gazing into a mirror for a glimpse of the future, or tying a knot for a troubled friend, keep in mind the higher aspects of your workings. You are improving the world and helping it to heal of the terrible things that it has suffered at the hands of man. It is this that makes you truly divine. When we change ourselves, we change the earth and we change the universe. So that I love to share, because magic doesn't have to be, this huge, powerful channel that knocks us on our ass, right? It's actually very natural feeling. But when we attune ourselves with the elements of nature, we're able to feel the changes that happen. So we talked about passing the circle and learning how to do that so that you can feel it happen. And a lot of people will get to the point when they pass a circle, they can just feel the change in the atmosphere and the environment. It's either going to go warm or it's going to go cold. It's not going to stay the same. So when we use magic, we're using natural forces of nature, and we want to bring about changes that we need. So we use it to help attract, arouse, or direct energies as a tool. So whenever we're directing any type of energy, it is a supernatural tool. And the manipulation of these tools and the driving need is often enough to make this magic work. Okay? Some get the powers of nature rolling through and they can feel it. And some it takes a little more difficulty to feel that energy. But as we manifest and connect to our power and hone and connect to the elemental forces, things speed up. So it is true that our manifestation represents our manifestation of life, okay? So if we are stressed out when we're doing money magic, our money magic is going to have that energy to it. So we have to look at, I want this. And you always want to take it above what you need so that the universe can give you that added power, okay? And you're out of that survival mode. So we do manipulate, even though it may not feel like it at first. I really want you to trust your skills. And the only thing you need to focus on right now is how you feel and what you want, okay? And then as you're co-creating and manifesting with the universe, you will be able to witness and experience what works for you. And some things that work for me may not work for you, and vice versa. okay? And that's because we are all a power of nature, and some things are come easier or are more difficult, and we all have to expand. So we use magic to bring about change. And every time we light a candle, we are starting a whole new beginning. Just like every time we pull cards, we are starting a whole new cycle. Nothing is ever where it was. It's always tapping into something that's more hidden or there. So that's why a lot of people will get confused when they're doing magic. Maybe 1 month they do money magic and they receive, you know, a bonus of $1,000. And the next month they do their money magic and it's like, oh, they won a $5 scratch ticket. Okay, so the energy does also connect with where we are at the time and how we're thinking. So we always want to use magic to heighten ourselves, but before we heighten ourselves with magic, we have to heighten ourselves mentally because we need to get out of the mind and connect with the subconscious. So magic is really incredibly easy, and it should be kept in mind that it's actually easier when we practice it with a group, okay? And that's why the full moons are so wicked when we're doing them together, and that's why people receive results. It's because we become this amazing force of nature with each essence of its own. And each one of you and your magic is different. So whatever person comes in or whatever energy comes in, if they're part of you or connected to you, it's going to add power. So it is good to have someone that you practice with, and it's also good to have, you know, someone that you're getting mentorship from, which is part of why we're all here together, okay? Obviously, planting a stone in the ground or holding a leaf or drawing a picture in and of themselves is not all of the magic. It's when we take the actions and when we're connected to it emotionally or we charge our state of mind that the magic is made. A lot of people feel that when we're practicing magic, it's all in the mind. And we all see all over social media, positive thinking, positive thinking. Some people will practice magic using that, and it is very important to stay in a positive state. But it's not the positive state that's creating the magic, okay? When we are doing, when we are keeping ourselves in that positive state, what we're doing is we're learning how to control the neurons of our brain, okay? So when we are working positivity, it's a mental thing. We're actually changing how the neurons work. And when we take it into a spiritual thing, then that's even different. So positive thinking is not just magic. It's got a lot more involved to it, okay? Now, when we think positively, it changes the state of our mind. Our neurons in our mind get activated, and that connects to our subconscious mind. But true magic actually takes place when we're in a neutral state. So if you can see a path of what you want and you don't want, you're in a neutral state. There's more power in that. Just like there's more power when we are authentic with ourselves and not working with ego. Now, when it comes to magic, there's a few things that are important to perform effective magic, and that is the need, the emotion, and the knowledge. So whenever you're practicing spell work or any type of magic, what is your need? And you need to understand that need. And what is the purpose of that need? Then you want to go into the emotion. And it's body, mind, and spirit, right? What is the emotion? How is it going to make you feel? Why do you want it? And then we need to go into the knowledge. What energies are going to help us attract it? So that is connecting to certain elements, right? If we want tangible results and it has to do with the earth element, then it represents our finances and also our physical bodies, right? If we want to know about opportunity, we would seek the air and the east for new beginnings. There's also stones and crystals, and a lot of people don't quite understand how they work. But let's take a look at this, okay? Our essence and our vibration and frequency is our own. And if we want to attract love into our life, and where we in our state, but it doesn't seem to be working, it's like, what the hell's going on? You need to heighten your state for that attraction. So people will add crystals, herbs, they'll add connection to the elements and go out in nature, maybe face the south and light a candle. Those things all add frequency to us. So when we carry a stone, that stone has the same frequency. Say we carry a love stone. The frequency of the love stone is going to enhance that chakra energy of our heart center. So we're adding certain vibrations to us, and that's how the magic is drawn to us. And that's why we use the herbs and the crystals. When we burn the herbs in the cauldron, or we carry them in a mojo, the frequency of those herbs heighten our state. And it's science. Okay, everything has a vibration. We're not sitting there focusing on carrying our mojo and feeling that vibration 24/7, but we know it's there, and we know it's now part of our light body structure that we've put in. Anything within 4 feet of us enters our being. So that's why, you know, you don't want to stand around the most miserable one in the room. You know, go to the other side. Give yourself 4 feet of space, and you should be good, okay? And the other thing is also with sickness. You know, certain winter time, there's lots of sickness going around. Well, when we are in a heightened state and all of our auric bodies are balanced and they're activated and we're full of light, that blocks sickness. And it's only when we actually allow, when our, I don't want to say allow, but when our shield is weak, it can come in. So a lot of us won't get ill too often. And that's because we know how to keep our shield strong. And that shield is what protects us psychically. It's our psychic shield. So for example, last winter I was in Florida, and we went to, I don't know, that big park. What is it? That studio place. Anyway, I'm not much of a heights person, and I hate lines, and I don't like people breathing on me. So we're in this lineup. Every ride has 3 hours of wait time. So either way, 3 rows ahead of me, and the lines are like kind of back and forth like a snake. It's winding. 3 rows. This woman is coughing and hacking up a lung. And I was like, just bothered me. And I knew that I got it. The second I allowed it to bug me. So I didn't feel it right away. But the next morning I wake up and my throat is like so crazy. And I thought maybe that's from screaming on all the rides because I'm like freaked out on half of them. But no, I ended up getting that cough and that sick. And I was mad at myself because I knew it. As soon as I looked at it, it entered. So it is important for us to keep our energy level strong and to keep us weeding away from the distractions and the things that we don't want to take care of that are negative. That does not mean that when certain topics arise in our life that we have to take care of, we ignore them. Because most of those topics that arise in our life are something that we're meant to take care of, and they are part of our purpose and part of our abilities. So when I'm talking about negative things, I'm mainly talking about the energies and distractions of others and not the things that come up in life. So remember, whenever you're doing a ritual right now, put together what is the need for it, how is it going to make you feel, what is the purpose of it, and what knowledge can you use to attract that? Are you going to use a stone, a candle? Maybe you need to use 3 different elements depending on what your magic is. So the need is simple. You wake up one morning with a splitting headache you can't get rid of, or you might find out that you need $100 by the end of the month. A friend may be looking for a new love. In all of those cases, a need exists, okay? Need should not be confused with desire. That's different. Desires are often passing. What one desires one morning can be pushed aside the next morning, so as something else. A desire is a whim, okay? A need is something that is deeply felt. Now, we always say we want to focus on our desires because that's what connects us to the goddess. But when I'm talking about those desires have to do with the things that we're manifesting, not just the whim of desire, you know, when we want a donut or whatever. Okay, so so there's a little bit of a difference with the desires. Okay, the emotion has to be clear. You may need a job, for instance, but you're not emotionally involved in the seeking of employment. You're worried, you're anxious, you're fretting, and all the spells in the world won't bring it to you. This is why it's important to do spells for ourselves instead of others at first, okay? So until you really know the changes that occur and how to heighten your state and match your emotion to the need that you're going for, don't do too much spells for other people yet until you really understand it. And I'm going to go into magic morality and doing spell work for others too in this course. So this is why sometimes we end up with non-manifestations. And it's because our state hasn't been hired to attract it. When we practice magic, the consciousness that we are involved in is the realm that we manifest in. Okay? So let me go into, I'm going to find, where's my book? I'm going to find something that will actually help explain this a little bit more in my other book here. And I want to talk about how to connect with that. I can find it in my book. So if we are working from a state of survival, that's the manifestation that we're going to receive. The same consciousness that we are in there. Trying to find my page that talks about all the states. Okay, so our perfection or our protection from life's energies. Okay, if we are working with that and we are trying to protect ourselves from other people's energies getting in our way, that energy is like the closest one to our body. So that is like 2 inches from our entire being is the auric body that protects us from life's energies. The second auric body, which is 2 to 4 inches away from us, screens our feelings and emotions. Okay, so if we have a stone that we need to heighten our feeling and emotion, that's where that energy starts to manifest from, that body. Okay, and then we have every layer of ourself is a different consciousness. So there's not just body, mind, and spirit. There's also how we are open to choices and how we enact our decisions. There is how we attract and repel our guidance. It's also how we attract and repel our relationships. That's a consciousness. How we filter our ideas and beliefs. That's another consciousness. How we connect with spirits and how the spirits are able to communicate with us. That's a consciousness that we all have 24/7. Our karma, how it's absorbed and how it's sent out. That is a living consciousness that we're connected to 24/7. It's one of our light bodies. Connecting with others based on spirit. That's another consciousness. So we have these consciousnesses always in play. They never come and go. They're a part of us. Each one of those things that I described is an auric body that we're connected to. We also have 7 different bodies. We have the astral body, we have our physical body, we have our etheric body, and we have our higher mental self body. We also have the I am self-mastery body, which actually isn't connected to our auric field. It's actually above us, following us around like an extra brain up there. And we also have a body that is called the solar angel. And the solar angel is our 8th, I don't want to say physical body because it's not, but it is our 8th body. And it connects us to the God and the goddess energy. And that's where our life force flows in from. So it's really important for us to, whoops, I just dropped my water everywhere. It's really important for us to figure out what is it that I want and how is it going to affect me, okay? And you can work your magic from there. What consciousness are you attracting from? So just to take it a little further, people who do meditation or astral travel, they will go into the Akashic records. We have the ability to go into the Akashic records and receive any information we want, past, present, and future, or about anything. That is a realm of consciousness, okay? And when we go out into the physical world every day, that consciousness that we're walking out into is a global consciousness, okay? So you'll find sometimes in news, more than one thing happens. It's the same thing, but maybe in 2 different provinces, okay? Yesterday's news, there was 3 different ATV incidents that killed people, all in different areas, one in Nova Scotia, one in Bathurst, and one here in town. So the global consciousness really can affect us. And if we're able to stay put in the energy that we want, we're protected from that global consciousness that could bring us down. And of course, the global consciousness isn't just a bad thing. It's a blend of every one of us, okay? But things can attract, just like the flu bug. So magic should be worked for positive effects only, never for negative effects. When we start working magic for negative effects, we're actually only working with mundane spirits. And those are all of the ghosts and the, human aspects of us on the earth realm. We call that energy mundane world. So we never want to work negative magic because that's who's doing our magic. And you've heard religion say that we have spirits that go and do our bidding. Well, we do, but we don't use the mundane level spirits, okay? And when we work from ego, and it's not authentic for ourselves, it's only because, oh, I want to show this person that I'm better than them, we're not working with higher realm levels of manifestation. Again, ego work has to do with working with the mundane. So what is the difference? Okay, the difference is if you really want something, you can feel it and you're doing it for yourself. If you're doing it for yourself, you can do and call in anything you want. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's only if we're doing it to better ourselves and lift ourselves up to prove someone wrong, right? That's when we start to practice into the other realm, and it's not long lasting. And it will always backfire in some way. So make sure that when you're working your magic, you know why you're drawing that in. Well, I want love. I want success. There's no selfishness in what you want. It's only if it's used for a distractive reason, okay? So the manipulation of power to cause any type of illness, pain, death, to show someone up, to steal, that's got to do with ego and negative magic. This includes forcing someone to give you money or to have sex with you. That would be considered negative magic. However, if you're going about love and it's someone you want to be with and you're attracted to, that's not. So you want to make sure that you're not feeding ego in your magic, that it is something that you genuinely want. And I believe that you're all connected with what you truly want. But that is also why we have to be careful when people come to us and they want us to do spell work. And I don't do spell work for other people unless it's healing or breaking a block or protection. I used to. I used to have, oh my gosh, the things that I had to do for people. I used to have this huge altar in my old store and it had everything in there. And what I found when I was doing that is that some people will come to you and they'll say, I want this, but it's not genuine. There's something underlying behind it. So for right now, until you really know the person or you're giving them healing, that's fine. But don't do any type of spell work for other people, like drawing in love or that sort of thing, okay? You can give them advice on how to go about it, but don't do the magic yourself. Magic isn't an open field where egos and selfish urges can be gratified on a whim. There's dangers awaiting for anyone who performs negative workings. Such magic might manifest and put heavy penalties, never worth the effects. And that's really true, okay? So I know that you're in a Wicca class, and that is always about, the light and the connection. But there are people that in my journey, I have seen people delve into magical things that maybe wasn't fitting for them. The Golden Dawn can be a little dangerous, right? There's certain magical ways that people will tap in that can be very dangerous, is what I'm talking about. And in 21 years of doing magic, I have known 3 people who delved into higher magic, Golden Dawn or whatever, and have just been found on the street dead. Nobody knows why. And so you want to be careful with, channeling different energies and going into the Goetia and working with other people's spirits. And that's what the problem was. So whenever you're working your own magic, you want to work with your own spirit. Don't go drawing someone else's, Sekhmet. Draw it to yourself, okay? And that's why I'm not into a lot of these new age books and stuff. A lot of people, when they're practicing magic from a spell book, they're using other people's spells. That's wonderful, but you're just giving that person, more power to them, right? So writing your own spells is really important, and also connecting to the things that you are genuinely drawn to use, okay? So a lot of, we all share things where it's like, oh, look at this spell, let's try that on social media. But in reality, the creator of that spell is going to do and receive the benefits from it, okay? So just keep that in mind. So there is also a magical principle that when you put magic into exactly what you want, you will receive that. And whether you receive it spiritually, physically, mentally, or emotionally, that's where you are knowing you're performing beneficial magic. So the negative magician will only receive negativity, and it will eventually destroy them. A positive person who's creating magic will only receive positively. So a lot of people, you'll hear stories of, oh, I did money magic and it was like ended up being evil. Well, that's not true. It doesn't work that way. What the realm you're working in is the realm of the manifestation, okay? And you can do research as well on different realms of spirit that you can connect with for magic, okay? Higher realms are not negative. If you're connected to yourself authentically and you're connecting to higher realm spirit, you will never have a negative result. And that is the same with our mind. You will never hear, "That's stupid, you can't do that." Okay? And our tone that we hear, our naysaying, our doubt, and our fear shows us how strong our ego is getting in our way. As soon as that ego knows that they can't feed us our fear, it goes away and it starts to direct us. It becomes one of the best psychic tools you can ever have, because instead of saying, "You can't do that," it's saying, "Go do that, go at this time," and it starts feeding you the guidance. And that's when you can auditory hear the guidance that is, beneficial. So in magic, containing the ego is really important. And the reason why I'm talking about that is because this is the month for that. This is the month where we get to tame our ego. We pay attention to the doubts. We pay attention to our fears, because those are the clues of what is important in our life. If I feel and hear a fear, I know it's important. So I do magic, because there would be no other reason why a fear would speak up. So keep that stuff in mind. Look for the need, the emotion, and then the knowledge. What energy, what stone can you use to do that? And practice it simply. We'll be getting into like major spell work, but at first I want you to just see how things affect when you carry a stone, how things change when you burn an herb, okay? I also want to go into the different moon phases and our months as well, because this is something that you'll always use. So waxing moon a lot is known as the dark moon, okay? And during the dark moon, a lot of people practice magic. They practice their intentions. However, on an occult level, the dark moon is when all of the Satanists and the Luciferians and all of the devil worshippers and the negative magic practitioners, and there is a lot of them, that's when they practice their rituals. So we do full moons, they do dark moons. And so for us, for me specifically, I don't practice magic during the new moon, because I know that there are enemies that are practicing their magic. We use the new moon for receiving power. That's when the channel and the portal opens, where we can receive all the energy we need to get through the following month, okay? So new moon for us is about receiving as much energy as we can, doing drumming work, doing healing work, doing Reiki, anything where we are receiving the energy. That's what we want to practice during the new moon, okay? It's like, imagine the doorway opening up and everything you ask to call in during the full moon starts to manifest into form, okay? The full moon is when we worship the goddess and we perform our magical works. And that is because when we're at a heightened state, we actually connect to that karmic balance that we are involved in. And from that karmic body, which is our 8th light body, to our 12th body, that's all higher state. So when we are practicing with the full moon, we are connecting with higher realms of who we are. That's activated already, whether we know it or not. Now, full moons are not meant to make us crazy, but the more out of touch we are or a person is, the crazier they will be, okay? So I was born in Weyburn, Saskatchewan in the 70s, and Weyburn was just like St. John. There was only a couple cities all across Canada that had the biggest psych ward. Well, where my little town of Weyburn was, we had the biggest psych ward. And every full moon, you could hear all of the patients freaking out through the entire city. And my grandma, my mom, I had so many family members that worked at the psych hospital. So I was always there. Like, I would be in the yard sitting there with all of these patients, right? And I've seen it all. But it's very true. On the full moon, people will go wild. And it starts 3 days before the full moon. So I'm always like careful where I go 3 days before the full moon, because that's when it starts to hit me. I start to see, you know, people coming at me or someone having a problem and all this untamed stuff, right? The same happens with a dark moon. We will be affected personally 3 days before the new moon. 3 days before the new moon comes about, our shadow selves come out. And there is not one person here that has no shadow, okay? So when we experience our shadow self and our crazy time, that's 3 days before the new moon. And that's one reason why we also won't practice ceremony, because we're also practicing our shadow magic, right? So take note on what arises 3 days before the new moon. Let me see when that is actually. So full moon is on the 9th. So that means on the 6th of this week. Pay attention, 6th or 7th, pay attention to the energy you experience in the outside world, not you, and what topics are rising and who it is. So if I find that one of my friends or a family member starts to act up 3 days before the full moon, I know that they need something. And it's going to be something that their spirit needs. So maybe it's, you know, security, or maybe it's connection. And you'll see that that moon affects outside of you. So 3 days before the new moon, so this month of the new moon is on the 23rd. That means from the 20th, our shadow comes out. That's when the bitch face goes on with me, okay? So pay attention 3 days before the new moon. And that shadow side that's coming up is very important because it needs protecting. And that allows you to know what healing you need. So if I get super bitchy 3 days before the new moon, I drum because I need to change my consciousness. Okay? So I want you to pay attention to that this month and just kind of see what you experience. So full moon 3 days before, other people's energies, okay? And you could be in Walmart and something will happen, okay? 3 days before the new moon, the dark moon, our energies come up, okay? And we have to honor it. We can't be like, oh my God, I'm like in a rough state this month. Well, you probably, maybe some months will be stronger than others. Take care of yourself, heal yourself, balance yourself. Now, we have the dark moon. We can use the dark moon for banishing. So if we want to practice any type of ritual work and say 3 days before the dark moon, it's like really negative and you're moody and you can't break it, you need to do a banishing ritual. So either release what's bothering you or sweep your home counterclockwise. Okay? So counterclockwise is working banishment. And then once we banish that energy, we're able to receive the good things. So right after the dark moon is when we are open to receive. After the full moon, everything is released. That's why when we do our intention papers, it's this full moon, I release all the stuff. And then it goes. The new moon comes on our other side of our intention paper for the full moon. This full moon I call in. That's after, that starts to come in after the new moon, okay? So the waxing moon comes after the new moon or the dark moon. And at this time, we can call the goddess as a maiden. And that means that that's the time during the waxing moon is where we want to begin our new things, our new projects, our ideas, but it's also the time where we receive the things that we called in. When we work the full moon magic, we are worshiping and connecting to the mother goddess. And so the goddess as mother, and that's why we do both, the release and the calling in. During the waning moon, that's the crone's energy. So during the waning moon, work of banishing and endings come into place. And when the waning moon is around me, that's the releasing time. That's when I pay all my bills. I got 2 weeks of the month, and I guarantee you, kind of watch the waning moon and what topics come up, because that's when we receive all the unexpected shit that we're like, what? That comes in during the waning. During the waxing is always our positive results, okay? Each moon also has a different meaning. And that's why the whole cycle of the year is so important, because each moon has a magical purpose. And because of this, it's a good idea to plan your full moon rituals to work with the meaning and the purpose of each moon. So the full moon is a traditional time for divination. And if you are into reading cards or pulling oracle cards or doing any type of scrying, use the full moon night to find out how your next month is going to be and what you're going to be dealing with. And that power will help us manifest. So every full moon, I do a full reading on my month. It's like, that's it. I also do a reading for myself every single day, because I like to know what energy is coming and how I can tap into it to mold it the way I want, right? So let's go into some of these moons. Of course, this is generic, but it will give you an idea of what you can perform. When we do the full moons, there's so much more involved in teaching in it. Of course, those that have taken the full moon ceremony we'll see how it works, right? We talk about the different energies and how we shouldn't be affected by certain things and whatever. So January's moon, it's known as the wolf moon. That is when we perform protection, okay? So January's full moon is about protection around us, our home, our work, our family. I place a protection over my money. A lot of people do magic to call money in, but they never think about protecting it so that, you know, shit doesn't happen and take it away, okay? February is known as the storm moon and others, which you learn in the full moon ceremony. But this is when we plan a ritual to honor our heart and the things that we really do want, okay? And when we're focusing on the things that we want, it helps us through the month of February to come in touch with our confidence, okay? Our self-esteem and the way that we feel about deserving with the things that we're calling in. It's also a time where we will ask our ancient ones to help plan our future. So the month of February is very powerful when it comes to guidance, and you will experience a lot of pop-ins and ideas, okay? Or maybe your dreams are more vivid. March is when we do ritual to help fulfill our wishes. And we take a look and readjust what it is that we are focusing on. Now, every time we do a paper during our full moon ceremonies, we add things to it, or maybe we don't need to release as much. So March is where we get aligned to what is appropriate, what is truly appropriate for ourselves and the things that we're focusing on. April moon, in March is known as the chaste moon. April is known as the seed moon. And that is when we do rituals to focus in our desires. So when we say the full moon is about, when we connect to the goddess, it is through our desires. Well, that is when we focus on April. April is when all of those desires are comprehended by the mother goddess, and then they really start to transform and come into about. And that's where we get to really start to see our harvest coming in, the things that we're calling in ever since we started in January. May represents hare moon, and that is a time where we need to reaffirm our goals. Okay, and then you'll see by May how much you've changed. So your goals will change in May naturally. It just happens with us all. June is known as a diad moon, and that is when we rebalance ourselves. And we balance ourselves spiritually to align ourselves to the physical desires that we wanted the month before in May. July is the mead moon, and that's when we do rituals where we decide what we will do once our goals have been met. So you have to know what you're going to do with things, right? So mine is, I want to be on the road more. I haven't been on the road as much as I normally am. And so for me, I have to know exactly what I'm going to do once my manifestations take place. August is the wart moon. And that's when we do a ritual to preserve what we have, and we place protections over the things that we've received, and we give gratitude to the spirits for it. Then we go into August. Oh no, I did that. August is wart moon. We preserve what we have, place a protection around it. September is our barley moon. That's where we actually receive our biggest harvest. And that's the time where we will be giving thanks to the spirits and our ancestors for helping us manifest. When we are doing magic, it is the spirit world and the universal laws that exist that bring those things about. So it's pretty awesome when you get to September and you see how much you've manifested in your life because of your magic. That shows you how strong of a connection you have to your ancestors. October is the blood moon, and we perform a ritual for those that are passed on. So we give thanks to the spirits in the September. October, we remember them, we give them offering, and we do a lot of sacrifice. November, we plan our rituals to get rid of the things that we don't want, our negative self, the things that we experience, and we're like, I'm not doing that again next year. All of our own personal enlightenment comes into play. Then we have December, our oak moon, which is planning a ritual to remain steadfast in your convictions and who you are. So those are some of the topics and the wheel that helps you manifest your goals throughout the year. Oh my gosh, is it really 10 o'clock already? No way. I didn't even get through half of what I wanted to do. Okay, before we go, I want to get to the days of the week, okay, so that you know what days are the best to perform certain rituals. So I'm going to talk fast. Next time we'll get more into the elements and practicing with it, okay? So Sundays, we like to use this day. It is associated with the sun and Saturn, and there's a lot of stuff out there. So make sure that you research some of the stuff that I talk about, because you'll find so much more information. But on Sundays, you want to do spells that relate to your health, your success, your career. You want to take any promotions that you want. You burn candles on that day. Any type of buying and selling should happen on Sunday, as well as your personal finances. I always do my personal finances on the weekends. So if I pay my bills during the waning moon, it's on a Sunday. The other thing is, if you're dealing with any type of lawyers or law or children or men's mysteries, we use Sunday. So if you need to connect with law and you're working on some kind of lawsuit, Sunday is the time to burn the candle for it, okay? Mondays, which is Moon Day, named after the moon, represents spells that have to do with dreams, astral travel, short trips. So Mondays are a good day to, like, you know, go to Moncton or somewhere close to you. This is also the day where you want to focus on your psychic pursuits. So any hidden stuff that you want to delve into, that's the day. Use Monday. Spirituality of our personal nature is activated every Monday. So if you have a Monday and you're like, oh, I hate work, and it's like, you know how Mondays sometimes feel when you're working? That means that your spirit wants you to connect with it more. Okay, so don't let Mondays be like, oh, the start of a work week. Be like, Mondays are now pertaining to your spirituality and the things that you want. Mondays also represent the element of water. So spirit is around us every Monday. There is someone there. The same with totem animals. If you're connected to animals, Mondays are the days that you will receive an animal totem, whether that's a bird, a deer, or something that you're driving by. So on Mondays, always take note of animals and birds or whatever that comes your way. The other thing is shape-shifting. Shape-shifting happens on Mondays. So if you, I don't know, it's going to sound a little crazy, but I'm part Native. We believe in shapeshifters. Where I lived in BC, I had my store. Some of you may have seen pictures of it I posted. Either way, half an hour away, there's a place called Sasquatch, and that is a Native tribe. Okay, so we believe that Sasquatches are shapeshifters. They're not all walking out there like these big hairy gorillas, but they transform. And the Native people will leave offerings to the Sasquatches, actually right by the ski hill that the road cleared out. So whenever they do hunting or anything, that's where they'll leave the bones and everything for the Sasquatches. The same with wolves. If you see a wolf on a Monday, it's most likely a Native spirit. Okay, so a lot of times people experience wolves coming to them in visions. I bet you when that happens, it's on a Monday. So pay attention to the animals that you see. If you're into shape-shifting, and a lot of people like to do shape-shift work, they do it on Mondays. The other thing is Mondays are about women's mysteries, and so you can do any type of work in connection with any goddess you want. And working with different goddesses is something that you should definitely look into. What energy are you trying to manifest? What goddess matches that? Okay. Tuesdays is associated with Mars. And when we do spells on Tuesdays, is for courage, it's for easy flow, it's for sex. So if we haven't been getting it, you know, light a candle on Tuesday. It's for passion and partnerships. If you are looking for a partner, Tuesdays are the days to light a candle and ask for a partnership to come your way. Tuesday is also the day to regroup our energy. Okay, so just lighting a candle and relaxing would be beneficial for you. It's going to heal your energy level. It's also the day we rid ourselves from anything that is bothering us. So any type of aggression or frustration, or if we are repairing things, Tuesday. Wednesday is associated with Mercury, and the magic that we like to do are spells relating to wisdom, intelligence, education. So if you're applying for school, do it on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday, okay? So Wednesdays, education, correspondence, phone calls, get all your phone calls done on a Wednesday. It also represents the day to sign contracts, and it works, as well as connecting with your siblings or family members. If you have trouble with communication with them, Wednesdays are the days that you will have an easier connection with them, as well as you know, listening to music is going to heal you on Wednesdays. Thursdays associated with Jupiter. I love Thursdays. That's one of my favorite days. And it is the best suited day to do spells for business, for gambling, for wealth, as well as publishing. If you're doing any type of writing, long distance travel, booking your tickets on a Thursday is best. Any type of luck, growth, law, going to see a doctor, Thursday is the best day. because your body will be in a different state than it is on a Monday. So you'll get accurate results from your doctor, as well as self-improvement work, and also studying and connecting to your guardians or your familiar spirits. Okay, those are Thursdays. Friday is associated with Venus, so we do spells relating to friendship, beauty, soulmates, romantic love, artistic ability. If you're a painter and you're like, I want to paint, but I have no ability, do it on a Friday, and then try to paint on a Monday and see the difference. As well as any type of marriage spell work, any type of designing or home improvement, as well as social activity is best on a Friday. Saturday is associated with Saturn, and it is spells that are best on this day are related to protection and binding work. So binding work is not negative magic. And in next class, I want to get into binding work and doing some more obstacle work, like how to break through those, okay? As well as going to a dentist, okay? If you go to a dentist on a Saturday, you won't have to deal with Dr. Giggles. I don't know if you're aware of that movie, but it's pretty creepy. Oh. As well as any type of tests. So if you need to do any type of medical test, try to get it booked on a Friday. Real estate is huge for Fridays, as well as any type of joint pains. So if you find that you're stiff or you're dealing with any type of back aches, Saturday is the day to do that. Saturday is also the day for spells that have to do with transformation. So if I'm on my path and I'm like, I had a crappy week and I'm done with certain things, I will call a new path my way on a Saturday. And then I'll get a new path. The same thing for any type of separation, dealing with criminals, law. Saturday is good for that. Okay, so you will get a recording of this, and I'll post it on our page, as well as through this month. I want to do some passion spells and love spells. And when I'm talking about love spells, these love spells are going to be for not just our soulmate love, because you know some of us have that and some of us are on the journey of that, but general passion spells. So just wait before we go here. I want to say the chant. If I can find it. Okay, so for this month, try a love spell. Okay, and then we're going to do a general passion spell. The general passion spell I'll post on our page because it's quite long, and that is going to open up your doorway to connect with your purpose, your passion, and moving into that path for you. Okay, it'll help align you. So for Valentine's Day that's coming up, a simple love spell, you will need a rose quartz crystal, or you can use a quartz crystal. A quartz crystal can be, you can put anything into it and it will carry those energies. And that is one of the reasons why they use quartz crystals in the quartz watch. Okay, so if anyone has a quartz watch and it says quartz on it, it's actually zapped with a crystal in there, and that crystal keeps the, I don't know, the electric energy going, right? And that's why we'll use it. You'll need a pink, red, or white candle, and a type of love incense, so rose petals would be good, as well as love to give. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll light your incense. Now, if you don't have rose petals, I'll post some other herbs that are good for love as well. And I'll post some herbs that are good for people that have a broken heart and need to heal, because this love spell is also good for healing the heart. So try to gather those things. The first thing you will do will light the incense and then the candle. And you want to think about all the good things love will bring to you. And that's everything you love, not just a person. And then you'll take the candle, you want to hold it above the, or not the candle, you'll take the crystal, hold it above the smoke, get that smoke on the crystal, and then put it over the candle flame and say, I raise my voice to the goddess and the god to help in the manifestation of love in my life. I know that I am ready for the give and the take of love. I put my faith and trust in you, with the knowledge that the one you bring is worth the gift of love that I shall give. And you can do that for a person. You can do that for something that you want to get into and open that doorway, and it'll work. The other thing we're going to do is a protection chant, and I'm just going to say it before we go. I call the light of golden rays. I seek protection. This I pray for heavenly forces at my side, angels, spirits, sages, and guides, or wolves who walk with cunning skill. Come to my aid, come at my will. Blackbird soaring, light my path, so I am victim to no one's wrath. And when my journey at last succeeds, all those who aid me, blessed be. So last month, I wanted you to do a familiar call outside, and some of you were able to do that, and some of you weren't, and some of you were scared too. And that is okay, but if you haven't done it, do it this month. It's not too late. And then after you do that, do this protection chant, and then go outside and stand, and you'll feel that breeze again. Okay, and I don't want you to just step outside and feel the breeze that is there. Just open your hands so that they're down, like I was talking about earlier, down at your side, not up, down to your side, and wait for the wind to respond to you. As soon as you get your own personal response from the wind, your spirit guide is there. Your familiar guide is there. So we're going to take the familiar thing we started last year a little further here and get them to protect us, okay? So that is it for me.
Comments.
Sorry?
There's some messages.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so is there a video or notes of specific to the different kind of familiar spirits? I had a higher realm spirit come forward. I'm still trying to figure it out. Okay. Okay, so yours was the gold. Are you talking about the gold or the orange? So those are ancestral spirits. Okay, and I will post something on the different spirits and the different colors, because there's a lot. We work with so many. Every realm has a spirit. Okay, I did mine but got nothing. Try it again. You just want to wait, and if you feel the breeze hit, you got it. All you want to feel is a change in the air. Now later on the journey, once you're able to feel that change in the air and know that it is a summon, we'll be able to learn how to change the direction of the air. Okay, so even if you feel the breeze coming from the west, but you want a wind that comes from the north, you'll learn how to change the air. Now, it's not going to change the breeze for the whole world, okay, because some people are like, will I start a hurricane? You're only going to change the breeze around you, okay? So that type of natural magic is really fun, okay? So if you don't feel that you got nothing, you did. Don't worry. Like I said earlier, sometimes we don't feel stuff that much. We become more sensitive as we practice. So before we go, I want to pull a card for us for the next month. And you don't have to be quiet through the month. If you're working magic and you're like, hey, I want to do a spell on this, message me or post it on our page, because we're helping each other manifest, okay? And I'll post something for all of us, because you know, we are connected. And a lot of times when one of us wants something, other people do too. I got miracles for us. So that means this month, expect a miracle, something good coming your way that is unexpected, not planned. It's coming. If you can join us on the 9th for the full moon, do that. And then for the full moon ceremonies, you need a drink, you need a food item, and then you need your intention paper. Okay, one piece of paper, one side I release all this shit, and it can be anything from when you were 2 years old or just the last month. And then on the other side, this full moon I call in. Okay? And I hope to see you online. Until then, we will see you next month. Okay? This video will be posted tomorrow. Okay? So you can re-listen.
Shall we open the circle?
Yes. Does anyone have any questions before I do? You can unmute and ask me something if you want. If not, let's open the circle. Thank you, Jess, because sometimes I forget. I'm like, the circle is open but never unbroken. Merry we meet, merry we part, until we meet again with love in our heart. So mote it be. Stomp your right foot. Stomp your right foot. Kiss your finger. Seal it with a kiss. And we'll talk soon. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening.